Milley is notorious. He got a pardon from Biden, a pardon that I believe to be invalid, that should not prohibit any court-martial of him for his efforts to work with the Chinese, promise the Chinese to give them a heads up if we were going to do anything militarily against them. How is that not subject to court-martial? There's opportunities in agency after agency to disclose the truth about the awful corruption and assault on our constitutional republic. Most specifically in our latest Judicial Watch Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the Defense Department. We sued the Pentagon for records on Milley's, then Chief of Staff, General Milley's January 6 calls. What the heck was General Milley doing calling around in the days before January 6th? He was a notorious anti-Trumper. It's been confirmed. And of course, the military, despite President Trump's desires and arguably orders to the contrary, were late in the game in providing security at the Capitol on January 6th, even after it was requested in an emergency fashion. I know there's a lot of blame to go around there because Pelosi didn't want the security. Mayor Bowser here didn't want the security provided by the National Guard or other military assets. So what was General Milley saying and doing? Was he part of that cabal in the military who did not want to provide military support for security on Capitol Hill? Because they did not want to give Trump any credit by having the military provide support at the Capitol. I think that's what was going on there. Because because Trump thought D.C. was out of control, having the military present providing security in our nation's capital, they thought would benefit him politically. That's my analysis. So that's my theory of the case. And some of these questions that I have, and I think you will have also, can be answered by our lawsuit. We sued or began asking for questions about this in December of last year. We asked simply for records and communications about 2 conference calls hosted by former Defense Department employees, or then acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller, so he was the Secretary of Defense for Trump, then Secretary of Army Ryan McCarthy, and then Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley on January 3rd and 4th of 2021 with the Department of Justice, with the Department of Interior, and the Department of Homeland Security. The subject of these conference calls was the coordination for and the common operating picture for the January 6, 2021 electoral certification taking place in the United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C. In testimony to the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack, which I call the Pelosi Rump Committee, Milley stated, "So there was a series of meetings prior to the 6th, and we can get you the exact dates and who's in the meetings, etc., interagency meetings with the acting Sec Defense Miller and others, and I'm involved in those meetings as well. These are in the end of December, so to speak, and they will go all the way through, I want to say, the 2nd or 3rd, maybe 4th or something like that. These are telephonic conference calls to try to figure out exactly what the security measures were going to be for January 6th. So if you want a serious January 6th investigation, you want these documents. Now, Milley is notorious. He got a pardon from Biden, a pardon that I believe to be invalid, that should not prohibit any court-martial of him for his efforts to work with the Chinese, promise the Chinese to give them a heads up if we were going to do anything militarily against them. How is that not subject to court-martial? And he was denigrating President Trump, insubordination to the max. Strongest case for court-martial in 100 years plus. Frankly, the strongest case since Benedict Arnold. Let me be blunt. And so Biden's sham pardon of Milley for unspecified offenses doesn't cut it and should be considered invalid, and President Trump should continue through Pete Hegseth to court-martial him. Now, right now, they're trying administratively, I think, to take away, consider whether to demote him and investigate his conduct administratively. We'll see how that works out. General Mark Milley and many deep staters at the Pentagon hated President Trump, so their role on January 6th is well worth exploring. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth should order full transparency and disclosure. So Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, if you're watching this episode of Judicial Watch's weekly update, take a look at this FOIA request. Ask your lawyers, what FOIA lawsuits are we getting? Are we responding to them? And if we're not, why not? That should be a priority for transparency. He's more transparent than most any other Secretary of Defense in recent memory. I don't know if you've seen his videos describing his work and what he's doing. It's excellent work. And I suggest he focuses on FOIA. Now, we already have a I shouldn't say concurrent, we already have a lawsuit that touches on these issues because we sued in December for details of a reported meeting between Merrick Garland and Milley in which they discussed President Trump, and during which Milley pressured Garland to target far-right militia movements. I think this was after January 6th. Again, hey, Justice Department, give us the documents. Give us the documents. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.